Hello, everyone, and welcome to Africa Fire Mission's weekly virtual training session. My name is Mike, and I'm the programs director for Africa Fire Mission, and so happy you took time out of your busy schedules to join us for today's training. Today, we're joined by Cyrus Kalemungorok. He's going to be talking about wildland fires as we uh, begin to wrap up our month of bushfire training. So we thank him for joining us here as well. Cyrus is one of our volunteer fire safety advocates, and we always enjoy him coming to lead us in a class. Before we get started, I'm going to pass things over to Howard Cohen. Howard is our uh, virtual training coordinator with Africa Fire Mission, and he's going to get us started here with a few words of encouragement.
Good afternoon, everybody. And if you're not in afternoon time, wherever you are in the world, good day to you. I'm happy to be here and to share some words of encouragement and thoughtful considerations for first responders. Uh, as Mike said, I've been, and I put it in the chat, I've been a volunteer now for 4 years with AFM. I love the organization. It's been a great place for me to land after retiring, after 20 years in fire service and retiring. So today what I want to talk to you about by way of words of encouragement is preparation. We know as first responders, the key to our success at any particular incident is our preparation, our training, our readiness for whatever we're going to encounter. So we train and we drill and we train and we drill and we learn and we study. But there's an area of training and preparation that we don't often pay as much attention to, and that's our spiritual growth and spiritual development. It's whatever your religion is, or even if you don't have a religion, you probably have some sort of spiritual life. You have thoughts and questions about end of life. So this is an area where we don't spend much time. So one of our instructors was teaching, and he landed an idea with me that really stuck, and that's that, we don't think about it, we don't like to admit this, but anytime we respond to a call, it could be our last call. We could end up dying as a result of a medical incident or something going wrong on the scene. Who knows what it might be? And so the question I want to leave you with is this. Are you ready? Are you prepared? Have you done the spiritual work that you need to do within the context of your faith system, your religion, your spiritual system, to be prepared for that event that eventually will happen to all of us, because as we know, 10 out of 10 people do die. But are you ready? Have you thought about it? Have you prepared your family? Are you really ready? Are you at one with whatever is your source of spiritual, where you focus your faith and belief? Whether you're a Christian and it's with Christ, or you're a Muslim and it's with Allah, or you're a Jew and it's with Adonai, or you're one of your various uh, um, more local religious systems, whatever your faith is, are you at peace? Are you at one? No regrets if tomorrow, if this is your last run. You've touched base with everybody you need to. You're ready to go forward. You're at one-ment. You're at one. Which is related to the word atonement, which means you've sought out forgiveness for the things you've done wrong, but you're at one. You're at peace. And that's what I want to leave you with as you go forward in this training, as you're learning and developing or advancing yourself as a first responder. Prepare yourself in all the areas that you need to, all the skills that you need to know, but also prepare and train and be ready in your spiritual life for what you might encounter. And I should say, as a postscript, also, we encounter things as first responders that really challenge our spiritual beliefs. When we see horrible accidents, it makes us ask questions. Are you ready for those? Is your soul ready? Are you spiritually prepared for that kind of challenge? So, um, so my words of encouragement are, do the work you need to do to prepare spiritually as well as technically as first responders. Have a great class, learn a lot, and I'm going to sign off here, and we'll be in touch with some of you all down the road. Bye.
Thank you very much, Howard. Appreciate those words of encouragement. Before we get started with today's training, just a couple of administrative details to touch on if you attend at least 70% of today's class, which is usually about 40 to 45 minutes. You will receive a certificate of attendance for today's class. If you get cut off or you can't complete today's class for some reason, I'll put some information in the chat where you can find a Google Drive folder that has today's training as well as all of the other trainings that we've hosted so far this year there. If you go there, watch a recording of the training and answer a few questions about what you learned, you can earn a certificate of attendance for those courses as well. You can access that through our webpage at www.africafiremission.org. Go to the resources section where you'll find that, a bunch of other free resources that are available for firefighters throughout Africa. When we get finished with today's training at the top of the hour, I invite you all to stick around. We'll be having a tea time, which is a time where we can ask questions about today's class or discuss anything else that may be on your mind. It's a great chance to do a little bit of networking and connect with your fellow firefighters. So I'd encourage you all, if you've got the bundles, to stick around for that as well. At this point in time, I'm going to pass things over to Cyrus to get us started with today's class.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mike, and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome for our today's session, and it's all about wildland fires. Wildland fires ELCEs. ELCEs. That is lookouts. That is how you can firefighters during the emergencies, how they assess their area of the response, and that needs experienced, competent, trusted. So that is L, stand for, in that acronym LCEs. L stand for lookouts, and under that lookouts we have that experienced, competent, trusted, enough lookouts at good advantageous points, knowledge of crew, locations. Yeah, this is whereby you need, a firefighter need to have the experience on how to check things at the ground, maybe at the wildland firefighting areas. So of course it needs a lot of knowledge, it needs a lot of skills for a firefighter to work inside safely and not to find themselves in a tough mixture of fire and smoke and wind sometimes. So we have also a communication on that LCEs, communications. C stand for communication. What do you have as a fire department? How have you arranged yourself? How have you arranged yourself in such a way that the communication will be easy for those who are maybe at the command post, for those who will be working with the fires areas? So communication also is another part that may play a big role, right? So we have also escape routes, which is E. More than escape routes. So yeah, firefighters need to locate more than 2 or 3 escape routes in case the dynamics happens at that battle ground of fires. Where do you have any open ways that it is easy for you to evacuate yourself and leave the fires to continue? Is there any way that you can evacuate yourself and come up with another plan? So, and that S stand for safety zone. When the firefighters are fighting wildland fires, they need also to have the safety zone area where they locate a safe place where to maybe to put some other equipment that is not in use. Maybe they locate where they will take a re-up. Of course, there must be it must be a safe area where our firefighters will take a break too. All right. So again, this is very important in fighting wildland fires. This must be something that our firefighters must have, that prepared strategy on how to deal with the wildland fires at the ground. So they must in their minds or in their nature of response, they have to come up with those 4 strategic plan. Lookouts, what is burning, where, maybe the environment, how does it look like? Is it suitable for the fire engine to park there? Is it suitable for the other enforcement team to be called? Communication, how do they do the communication? From where to where? From the operation, maybe to emergency center? From firefighter to a firefighter? Is the environment clear for that communication? Again, those are the emergency plans that firefighters need to have, especially here in Africa. When we're responding, there is so many challenges that we can encounter along the way. We have poor road networking. We have a lack of communication. Our fire station has not yet been facilitated so that we have easiest way of communication. Purely, I'm speaking on African part. How are we going to respond? Do we normally follow that rules of operation? Do we have all communication devices? Yes, we can find a situation that it requires us to look the things how it is. For example, responding in fires at the lowland, I may use one of the areas or one of county in my county, one of the county in my country. There's plenty flat land, and that plenty flat land is very difficult for us as a firefighters in Africa to deal with it. One, we might lack proper PPE on how to respond those fires. Sometimes we cannot interpret or understand the movement of the wind. Wind may change from direction to another direction. Sometimes the fires may move in a high speed. So, and direction changes. So it is very difficult for us as African firefighters to know those situations when we are not in a good plan. So lockouts. Lockouts should be evaluating any changes in weather, fire, or anything else that would affect operations and the safety of the crew. Yeah, lockouts should be. Firefighters must understand the situation and look things the way it is. Firefighters need to understand the condition of the environment pertaining the weather. How does it? How is the weather behavior? How does that weather behaves like? Is it danger for the firefighters? Is it not danger for firefighters? I'm talking about when I talk about weather, I'm talking about wind. I'm talking about maybe rain. So those are the things that firefighters may encounter sometimes when fighting fires or wildland fires. So those are the things that all firefighters responding to those wildland fires, you need to have in your picture that in case the direction of the wind changes, where are we going to escape? Which plan do we have so that we can rescue ourselves from that movement of wind? Because high movement of the wind actually increases the size of the fire. And since there is a high wind, almost direction changes. So you need to have that plan as a firefighters. The lookout should be able to see the crew working under the fire. So yes, the other thing that firefighters need to know is to remain in contact with each other as they work. You need also to be associating that. Yes, the firefighters are working. The firefighters are suppressing the fires. Who is checking them? Who is in charge of watching them, how they work and how the situation changes? Crew need to have that. If crew are working in multiple areas and there is a lookout assigned to the fire and the crew feels that they need a lookout or the lookout cannot see them, then they will need to make sure that they have contact with someone who can see the fire and ensure that there is someone looking out for them. Yeah, when the lookout is not working properly, maybe they are located somewhere to check out the movement of the fires and the situation that sometimes changes at every time. And maybe the crew is not be seen, the crew is not getting the information from the lookout. The lookout is not visible, and the crew is thinking, or the crew understand that there is no communication between the lookout center and the crew working at the wildland areas. So now that is where the crew will decide to choose one of the firefighter to be the representative of checking the situations at the ground, right? So the best, how can this lookout assist is purely to manage or to keep on eye firefighters who are working at the scene. So it is very important when the crew understands that the lookout center is not contact with them. Now the crew will choose one of them to be checking the scene safety and the movement of the situation. Okay, communication. We need to ensure that we need to ensure that we have communication with all members working on the fire. Yes, our firefighters cannot work without communication. Communication is a key. Communication is the center point of all operations. Let's assume a firefighter A is a branchman, and maybe firefighter B is a pump operator. So, and in between the firefighter A and the firefighter B, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of smoke. The area is not visible. And there is no way that these firefighters can communicate to each other. So in that situation, the communication will not flow. Firefighter A and B will not understand each other. Then now it is very important to have maybe a firefighter C to assist in communication if you don't have the radios. Here in Africa, it is very difficult for a fire station to get a complete operation devices or operation equipments. For example, here in my fire station, we don't have a radio that can assist us in communication. We normally use verbal communication by sending maybe a firefighter or we shout. So by shouting, maybe firefighter A will shout to firefighter C, and firefighter C shout to firefighter B, who is pump operator. That such of communication, it's very important in wildland fires. Before you respond or before firefighters get out of their fire station, there must be a proper plan that who is going to assist in communication, because there's so many dynamics in fighting wildland fires. Of course, it needs a lot of communication to be done, a lot of eye contact to each other. So there must be a firefighter who is support, who can support a lockout area, who can support a crew in terms of communication. If we are working with forest service, we need to ensure that we establish communication with them before. Yes, if we have other officers who can assist us in fighting fires. For example, when in Kenya we have a military unit known as KWS. KWS works for a forest. They are forest caretakers. They take care of the forests. They take care of the wild animals. So sometimes when there is a fires, those officers get in and assist the firefighters to control the fires. So as we welcome in those officers, we have to make sure that we have one center of communication that can lead all of us, that can put us in one shoe so that we can work out smoothly. We don't want to barricade each other. We don't want to have that barriers between officers from part 1 and officers from part 2, misleading each other or being misleaded not to be in one section. So we need to have that one, all officers to be in one shoe, all officers to be in one track, all officers to know where are they moving, either from point P to point A or point A to point P. So it is very important to have the communication center that leads all the officers that come to assist the firefighters. As we mentioned before, that we need to ensure that we have positive communication with our crew and supervisors, and that if we cannot see the fire, we are in contact with someone who can see the fire. Yeah, the firefighters who are working inside the fires, sometimes they cannot see how the fire is large, how the fire is spreading to, how the fire is big or small. Sometimes they cannot see it. And if the lockout is not working properly, now we have a crew to take charge on that. Yes, when we move to escape routes, we need to be curious on that, and we need to be a more skillful on that. We need to have skills on how are we going to make escape routes while we are fighting wildland fires. Sometimes it is very complicated for firefighters to form that escape routes because we can encounter so many pressures from the other officers who maybe they have arrived at the scene first. They were the first to arrive at the scene, and firefighters are maybe third. Other officers are already at the scene. Sometimes we can reach there and being pressurized that you need to control the fires before it reaches some areas. So, and that's where now the firefighters got themselves in a mix that is very difficult for them to come up with that plan that we can use area A to be our escape area or escape route. We can use area P to be an emergency. If area A is not workable for us, we can use area P or we can use area A. Because of that pressure, we just go and fight fires. And sometimes we can find ourselves that already at the scene, the citizens are there waiting us. Maybe, as we know, African citizens, they always chant up by saying firefighters are too late. you came late, you don't have enough facilities, and that is the time it is critical for us as African firefighters. It is very critical for us because we can mess up our plans due to too much pressure. All right. So we need to have that picture before we get out of the fire station. We need to have our plan. All right. So when we arrive at the scene, we need at least to have two major exit or 3 major exit routes that it can assist us as a firefighters. Let us not get incited on how to fight fires, but let us also be aware about our safety. And let us have our mind that the dynamics at the scene may occur. And that dynamics when occur, are we ready to evacuate ourselves? When the escape routes have been determined, this shall be communicated to all members operating on the fire. Yes, after we come up, or after firefighters come up with a clear escape routes, now they take the information downwards to the operation officers, the officers who are working at the emergency area where the fire is. There must be a proper communication telling that firefighters who are at the scene, who are at the fire area, if the fire turns into auger, please, we can retrieve ourselves and turn our properties and our bodies, we run to point A or a point B. And there must be a clear explanation about that. In a lot of cases, the escape routes may be back out. The way we came in, it may be as simple as going back into the back or removing to the streets. Yeah. In lowlands, where there's so many wind movements, where there's a lot of movement of the wind. Sometimes when we are fighting fires, fire may change direction and turn against the firefighters. It is easy for firefighters to retreat and go back the route that they used to enter where the fire was. That's the only way, and it is the best that we can form that exit routes. It is better for us to use the back. It is better for us to use the entrance that we use to enter the fire, right? And that communication must flow. Alert must be raised that now we are running out of the fire. Let us leave the fire, run for ourselves, run of our safety. And that's the time now we can go back, use the same route that we entered to. It may seem elementary to establish this and let everyone know. But if we do it in a small fires, we will do it in a large fires. Yeah. All of the responses that we respond to wildland fires, it is good to practice, even if the fire is too small. We need to be practicing that we use entrance to enter where the fire is. Again, we can use it the same to be our exit, our emergency exit or our emergency route. If we continue practicing that, it will assist us a lot and it will help our firefighters to grow up in terms of following those process of LCES. Right? So we encourage ourselves to continue practicing. We need to ensure that we have an escape route out of the fire to the safety zone. Yeah, when we say we retrieve from the fires. It is not that we retrieve and we go back to the fire station. No, we have to allocate the safety area or the safety zone, which is a distance from the fires, the place that it is so clear, and it takes some time for the fire to reach there. So we go back to the safety zone and come up with another strategy on how to deal with the fires. This is true for the small fires on the side of the road or the 5 acres. So this one can help us, especially the fires along the road. When we are fighting fires along the road, that road will assist us. Maybe we allocate our zone or our safety zone to be the other part of the road or at the opposite side where the fire is. Now we can use the road to be one of the barriers to control the fires not to reach our safety. So we need to make sure that we can exit to the escape routes and get to the safety zone. Yeah, I've mentioned that. We're retreating from the fire areas. So we need to go back to the fire safety zone. When the incident moves, the escape routes should not need to move, right? When the incident moves, the escape routes should not need to move. Yeah, sometimes the dynamics may occur, and we'll find out that our safety areas or our escape routes we are not able to access. And maybe you can check where we have managed to fight the fires. Maybe we cannot turn and run again to where the location of our emergency exit routes or escape routes, because sometimes maybe there is a lot of fire on our escape routes. So can we run to that fires because we make it to be our safety route? Definitely not. We have to check for our safety first. If our escape route is being contradicted by fire, now we have to come up with a plan B, that maybe we have managed to control fire in this area and we are safe. We can stay here as we come up with another plan on how to deal with the fire. We can just still remain there. Okay. What is common that can be seen in those firefighting or at the tragedy in those fires? Yeah, there are so many things that we can learn about that. There's a fire behavior. How is the fire behaving? The movement of the fire, which is how many minutes is that fire moving from point A to point B? So those are the things that we need also to have and learn and come up with that plan. There are 4 major common denominators of the fire behavior on fatal and near fatal fires. Number 1, relatively small fires and comparatively quiet areas of larger fires. Relatively light fuels such as grass, herbs, and light brush. Unexpected shifts in wind direction or wind speed. Yeah, that also gives us a definition of how this fire is behaving. We can also learn how danger it is. Fire response to topography, condition, and runs uphill. Yeah, here in Africa, we always encounter fires that is burning forests, bushes, maybe at hills and mountains and lowlands. So sometimes it is very difficult for us to study the location where we need to fight these fires, because sometimes the fire is moving from lower side or at the downhill to uphill. So we cannot go at the uphill as we fight fires downwards. That's very dangerous to us. So that means we need now to come up with a clear explanation that we need to fight these fires from downhill as we go up. Remember that we only have fire engines. Also, that makes our work to be difficult. We have those engines that they use a power. You engage the PTO, and that takes the power from the wheels to the PTO. This fire engine cannot be moving at the same time releasing water, or at the same time the pump is working. So you need to stop it somewhere, engage PTO, which is taking the power from the wheels to the pump. Now you cannot then take such engine to the top hill, because when you're fighting and maybe there's that too much wind coming up, you will not be able to see where the fire is, because you will be fighting with the smoke. Number two, maybe the fire is moving at a high speed that you cannot be able even to to engage or to shut the PTO from the pump to the wheels, so that your engine will run very fast from, or you can drive your engine from the location to another different location. So it's very difficult. That's why we need to study the movement of the fire according to the topography of the area. Element of topography and wind during burning period should be considered a trigger point to reevaluate tactics. Yes, you need to have your tactics. You need to have so many ideas that where are we going to allocate our fire engine? Where do we fight these fires? Where, in which direction are you going to fight fires towards? So you need to be very keen on that, and you need to be open-minded. You need to have that mind telling you that, hey, we can change a strategy anytime. All right. So what is common most of the time in these topography situations and firefighting, or the fire movement against the topography, what we need to have that awareness in our fire station is we also need to be aware of the common denominators of fire behavior. All right. We have to know what we call our plans. We need to have that mentality of changing things within a minute. Yeah, we need to have that picture that if Mount Longonot in Kenya has fires, we have managed to fight fires from the bottom up to the mid of the mountain. And another fire erupted from maybe to the left side of the mountain, and we are at the right side of the mountain. How are we going to come up with a plan that we need to act quickly to get ourselves out from that situation? Or we need to have that picture of telling us, hey, the right area of the mountain that we are, the fire is over. But the left area of the mountain that we are, the fire is still on. We need to have that strategy that we change or we shift our minds that now, because the fire is at the left side, and we are going to fight that fires through which areas? Where will be our escape routes? Where are we going to locate our fire engine? Right? Again, there is what we call 10s, 10S and 18S. 10S and 18S means firefighting orders. Do you have any order of communication? Who is supposed to give out orders in that battleground area whereby we are fighting fires? If firefighter A shouts to firefighter B that we need to retrieve, can that be understood? Can that be applied? If incident command, who is in charge of the crew or at the lockout center, says, hey, you need to retrieve very fast, the situation is not usual for us, can that be understood? Can that command be assisting firefighters who are at the operation area? So we need to have that clear command. Of course, we need to have what we call IRPGS. IRPGS understand for Incident Response Pocket Kite. Yes, before we respond, we need to have that. What is guiding us as a first responders? At which time do we need to apply those rules inside the incident kite, pocket kite? Is that rules is with us? We should have that IRPG as in all our apparatus. And those of us that we have Wildland PPE should all have a copy of an IRPG in all our PPEs so that we can review those rules all the time. Yes, maybe in Kenya, we have those counties that they already equipped themselves with the Wildland Fires PPE. So those PPEs need to have at least those IRPG that guides a firefighter, that always tells a firefighter, hey, there is this one. When you are responding to wildland fires, remember this one. Remember to apply this in your techniques. All right? So we need to know that we are not going to memorize all of this. This is where situational awareness and common. Yeah, if you have those rules, sometimes we can't memorize all of them. It can be maybe 100, it can be 50, it can be 30. Our work is not to memorize. Our work is just to remind ourselves, what does it mean? At which time do we need to apply these rules? All right? If we maintain good LCEs, we will follow and be aware of our fire orders and watch out situations. Yeah, if we continue maintaining all what is in LCEs, then we as a firefighters, we at least ensure ourselves that we can work in a better. We can try to maintain ourselves and be safe while fighting those wildland fires. Another clear tool that we have to help out with our situation aware and our planning is that 10 standard fire orders and the watch out situations. Yes, we need to have those 10 standards, and maybe I know the situation in Africa and maybe in America is not the same. There is some orders that it is applicable in Africa, and there is that orders that is not applicable in Africa, because we cannot compare ourselves as African firefighters with the American firefighters. American firefighters, maybe, and I'm sure they are well equipped. They have all what is needed to operate in wildland fires. And us, in African firefighters, we don't have that gears or that equipment that it can assist us on fighting wildland fires. 10 standards fire order should be thought about as an order, meaning that if we have broken an order to need to ensure that we fix it and follow the orders. The 18 are the 18 watch out situation. They mean exactly that, watch out. Yeah. So the standards fighting orders in 10s or a 10S is keep informed on fire weather condition and forecasts. What is in 10S? Know what your fire is doing at all time. Base all action on current and expected behavior of the fire. Identify escape routes and safety zone and make them known. Post lockout when there is a possible danger. Be alert, keep calm, think clearly, act decisively. Maintain prompt communications with your forces, your supervisors, and adjoining. Give clear instruction and be sure they are understood. Maintain control of your forces at all time. Fighting fires aggressively, having provided for safety first. So that is in 10 standards, okay? So in 18 standards or 18S, watch out situation. Fire not scouted and size up. So that means maybe the opposite, or maybe those things that it has not got well, the things that we have not make a clear explanation of it when we are at the scene. So that maybe the opposite part, that the things that is not well, that it is not being communicated very well. Maybe one, fire not scouted and size up. One, country not seen in daylight. Safety zone and escape routes not identified. Unfamiliar with weather and local factors influencing the fire behavior. Maybe one firefighter, for example, here I work in West Pokot County. If I can be transferred from here to fight fires in Nakuru County, it can be difficult for me because sometimes I don't know the factors in that area. The topography, maybe. I'm not familiar with the area. The weather, sometimes it can change, and that may bring dangers to me. As you can see in our chat, somebody has posted it. Of course, I will get that material out. Building fire line down here with the fire blow. Fire blow. Sorry, I think I lose my network. On a hillside where rolling hills can ignite fell below, water becoming hot, dire, wind increase and or change directions. Yeah, that's what I talked earlier about. So all about that we need to be aware of as we apply what is in 18S. So when we talk about the safety zone is whereby we need to be careful about it, because that is your code's area. That's our living code assist us to do our things, or we retrieve and go there without harming ourselves. You are in fire and need to retreat to your safety zone, and you are experiencing flames. Like what is the size required of your safety zone, assuming no slope and no wind, right? So those are the things that you need to consider when applying to have that safety zone. When you are locating a safety zone, you need to know what is the size required of your safety zone. Which area, how large does it look like for that safety zone? Answer, look on during the tight mild fire, maybe it depends with the size of the fire, the equipment that you have, how many fire engines is working there. So if you have more than 2-3 fire engines, at least you need to do a proper location. For me here, I have a sketch. There's a sketch of estimate of the distance between a safety zone and fires, or the scene where the fire is. Flame heights, when where the fire is too large, you need to have a certain feet to be away from the fires, separation distance. So flame heights, separation distance, and the distance, and the area, how large it is, how big are the land. So flame heights 10 feet for a separate distance from maybe if the fire is too high in 10 feet, now you need to have 40 feet distance from your safety zone. 20 feet, if the fire is 20 feet high, at least you need to have 80 feet distance from fire and the safety zone. 50 feet, if the fire is 50 feet high, you need to have 200 feet distance between you and the fires or the safety zone. 100 feet, 400. 100 feet height of the fire, 400 feet distance between you and the fires. 200 height, 200 high feet of the fires, 800 feet distance between you and the fires, and 40 feet, it's all about 1 by 10 acres. 80 feet goes to 1 by 2 acres. 200 feet go to 3 acres. 400 feet go to 1,200 acres. 800 feet go to 46 acres. So actually, that's the standard. That's American standard. Maybe it is not applicable here in Africa. We need to come up with ours. we need to have that sketch in our fire stations. A safety zone is an area that we can escape to that does not require the use of fire shelter. Yeah, it cannot to thus in that fire safety zone we need to do whereby we have to barricade ourselves. We need to come up with our barriers that may protect us from the movement of the flames. So thank you very much. That's the end of my lesson. May God bless you, and if there is any question, we will meet at tea time, whereby we will answer your questions, and any additional point, you are encouraged to put it at tea time. So thank you so much, and stay safe wherever you are. Fight fires, those wildland fires safe. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mr. Mike, as we continue in our tea time section.
All right, thank you very much, Cyrus. We appreciate you leading us in today's class. Good coverage about LCES, lookouts, safety zones, escape routes, communications. Very well done. We're going to wrap things up for the formal portion of our training, but I do want to open the floor up for questions, so we'll do that in just a moment. Let me thank everyone for their attendance today. We always appreciate you using your time and your money to buy those bundles so that you can join us for the class, try to expand your knowledge to better serve your community. So we're very thankful for that. We've got plenty of seats here in the classroom. If there's somebody that you think may benefit from these trainings, please feel free to share that registration link. That can be found on our website, www.africafiremission.org. And hope to see you all again next week.